Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and on this video I want to talk to you guys about 8 of my favourite first time watches of the year so far. So I've watched a lot of older films and some more current modern films, and just want to share with you some of my favourite things that I've seen on physical media this year so far. So first up, I want to talk about a film from 1963 directed by Joseph Losey, and it's The Servant. And this is absolutely incredible. Just a plug of my podcast called Let's Watch 2, discussed this film and paired it with Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. So if you like Parasite, there's a lot of similarities here. Not too similar so that you're basically watching the same thing twice, but Bong Joon-ho was hugely inspired by this film for various elements of Parasite, and it tells the story of a manservant who is employed by a wealthy Londoner, and just as the story progresses how their roles start to change, and it's a dissection of basically capitalism and the class structure and stuff from this perspective of 1963, and in my opinion not much has changed. Gorgeous black and white cinematography. This is the Blu-ray edition because it was like £6 in HMV when I went into a brick and mortar store. I really wish I got the 4K, but the 4K was like £30, and I wanted to pick this up because I was talking about it on the podcast with my good friend Elliot Cohen. If you liked Parasite and you want to look at what Bong Joon-ho was inspired by to make that absolutely incredible film, then look no further than Joseph Losey's The Servant. Next up is a film that was basically not on my radar whatsoever until I saw 2 of my good friends. I'm going to name drop Elliot Cohen again. He covered this on his channel, and also my good friend Chris Moen reviewed this on his channel as well. And I thought, oh, 2 of my good friends whose opinion on film I trust have given this a lot of praise, so I thought I'd pick it up. And it's an Arrow video release, and the film is The Sacred Spirit, and this is directed by Chema Garcia Ibarra. This blew me away completely. This is very much my style of storytelling. Very enigmatic, mysterious, a lot of humor in this. So the story tells of a group of UFO enthusiasts who suddenly find that their leader of their sort of cult has died mysteriously, and the community has a missing girl. She's gone missing, she's run away, she's been kidnapped, we don't know. And somehow this is all connected in with potential UFO, conspiracy theories or whatever. I won't say any more than that. I will say that this film is very idiosyncratic. There's nothing else like it that I've seen before. It's got some quite subtle humor in it, and the ending just absolutely made my jaw drop. And yeah, it was just a superb film. This release in general is absolutely stacked. It has a bunch of short films from the director. There's a booklet in here with lots of writing, and absolutely love the artwork on this slipcase. So yeah, there's a lot of Egyptian symbolism and stuff in this film as well to go along with the UFO aspect of that sort of stuff. So absolutely blew my mind. This was, up until maybe a month or so ago, the best thing I saw this year so far. So stay tuned to find out what beat this to the #1 spot. Next up is something completely different to everything I've shown you so far. There's quite a big range of things actually I'm going to show you, and this is Indicator's first 4K sort of foray into 4K really, and they've decided to do this with a bunch of Jean Rollin films, and this is The Shiver of the Vampires. Now I am quite a big fan of Rollin before even these films were released on 4K. I have a bunch of the old Black House releases. Not great, I have to say. Before that they were released on like Redemption DVDs. I never had those, but they were always really either had no special features or the special features weren't fantastic and the transfers weren't brilliant. So when Indicator announced that they were putting out Jean Rollin films on 4K, I was very giddy because this is my jam. I love this sort of stuff, like fantastique, like the mixture of horror and sci-fi and eroticism. It's, yeah, very good. And the 4K transfer on this is absolutely incredible. So Indicator, if they're putting out maybe 20 or so of these Roland films, fantastic edition. So we've got this amazing artwork here, and on the back gives you all the list of the special features, and then we have a really thick stacked book. I won't flip through here because some of it's not YouTube friendly, but it's quite thick. And then, as I say, it's like thin, so it's like hardback. It's like hard case, like really good quality, but it's like been slimmed down instead of it being like a really thick thing for one film. It's like almost like a box set. It doesn't need to be. And then we just have the film in like a digibook pack with some like the original French poster art on there. I'm thoroughly impressed with this. I watched the film twice because I wanted to listen to the commentary by a guy whose name I forget, Jeremy Ritchie. Insightful, fantastic. The audio commentary, the listen was more of like an essay that was playing over the top of the commentary, which is, I don't mind whatsoever. I prefer a mixture of like essay type commentaries that also have a bit more looseness to them, where they can talk about little bits of the film as they're happening and stuff like that. But it was a great commentary. And then yeah, there's interviews with Roland in here and a bunch of other great stuff. They've announced 2 more Roland 4Ks that I've already pre-ordered, and these are going to look very, very nice on the shelf all together when they've all been released. I think I've maybe seen 10 Roland films. And each one of them, although not all of them were great, they're all at least good or interesting, and some of them are just incredible. Like, I cannot wait for assuming that Indicator have the rights to it, I bet they do, but Fascination is just an incredible film. I can't wait for that. So yeah, I should also mention that the lighting in this film is like Mario Bava. So if you like the gothic films of Mario Bava, there's lots of those elements in here, and I'd say that's the only thing where Roland takes his influences from, like film-wise, because he takes a lot of outside influence of the film of medium into his filmmaking, such as like paintings and things like that. So yeah, wonderful. Next up is a film by a director whose work I am putting off watching because I love his work so much. It's getting to the point where I'm running out of new films from this director to watch. He has a very long storied career. He's been working since the early 70s with his short films, and yeah, he's basically a household name if you're like super into like horror. But this is a film that's not a horror film from this director. I should say who this is. It's David Cronenberg, and it's his film's Map to the Stars. Cronenberg is so good at the non-horror, body horror stuff. This is amazing. Eastern Promises is amazing. History of Violence is amazing. I think this is my favorite out of those 3. Yeah, it tells the story of sort of the Hollywood elite. My door bell just rang, so hold that thought and I'll be back.
5 minutes later.
So yeah, I was talking about Cronenberg. So yeah, Map to the Stars. Interesting film, really interesting. Tells the story of a troubled young woman who's recently been released from like a psychiatric facility, and she is basically making her way to Hollywood, where she has family members who are somewhat of celebrity status. How she's basically been sort of shunned from the family, but she's trying to worm her way back in, and she becomes a PA to sort of a interesting actress character played by Julianne Moore, who's sort of like trying to make a comeback, and she has some psychological issues, but she's being looked after by John Cusack's character, who is sort of like a self-help guru to the stars. And yeah, basically things become apparent about how all these characters are interconnected. Very interesting look at, you know, celebrity, elite, and how some people may want to get into that universe and world. And Cronenberg just knocked it out of the park with this. All the performances are stellar. I absolutely love this. I love Cronenberg.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Next up is an oddball curio release from Indicator Films. Talking about William Richards Winter Kills. Wasn't quite sure what to make of it as I was watching it, to be honest. To loosely describe what this film is, it's a retelling of the JFK assassination, but just with different characters, but it's a comedy, quite a dark comedy, but also really silly and ludicrous in other places. Not sure whether the tone shifts and the different types of humor are intentional, or whether it was just by accident, like a happy accident. I'm not sure. I can't really tell. I love this film though. I didn't quite catch on that this is some sort of satirical comedy thing until maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes in, until some sort of ludicrous things start happening. And then I'm recounting the last half an hour I've watched, and I'm thinking, that was odd, and the editing choices just make for comedy. And yeah, then when I sort of clicked on what the film was like, or the tone, I was having a fantastic time. And yeah, this is going to be rewatched because it has some insane performances. John Huston's in it, Jeff Daniels is in it, has some cameos from some quite famous people in it as well, like Hayden Sterling has just such a crazy role in this film. And yeah, I absolutely love this 70s oddball curio thing from Indicator. I managed to get this when they had a brief restock of out of print titles. So this is a limited edition, so it comes with, you know, the booklet and stuff, which I've read all the stuff in here and just fell in love with the film, to be honest. I absolutely adore it. It's very interesting, and yeah, I absolutely love this. One of my favorite first time watches of the year so far. Now we're getting down, I haven't ranked these as such, but these last few are definitely my favorite, you know, first time watches of the year thus far. And I can't believe it taken me so long to watch this specific title from this director, because I say this a lot, but he's one of my favorite directors. I'm talking about Robert Altman and his film Shortcuts from 1993. Yeah, this is an epic. It's 187 minutes. It has a stacked cast. Let's name some of them. So we have Andy McDowell, Julianne Moore, Matthew Modine, Fred Ward, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Lily Taylor, Robert Downey Jr., Tim Robbins, Lily Tomlin, Tom Waits, Frances McDormand. Oh, it's just, the list goes on. As Altman is very good at weaving long, complex, intertwined stories a la Nashville, which is in my top 10 films of all time. I think it's probably the best film that came out in the 70s from America, at least. And Shortcuts, based on how much I enjoyed this, it's one of the best American films that came out in the 90s. I love this. I tend to not pick long films these days because I'm busy. I work full time, you know, I have a family, and when I get home, or when I have like some spare time in the evening, sometimes that's like 9, 10 at night, I don't have the energy to be able to sit there for 3 hours into the early hours of the morning and then have to get up and go to work. So I tend to more often pick the really short ones, like the 1 hour 30 1 hour 30 films. But something compelled me to watch this, and I managed to stay up without feeling even remotely tired because of how engaging this film was. To try and describe the plot is difficult because it's basically 10 different storylines all intertwining. It's set in Los Angeles, various different types of people like doctors and just people trying to make their way in life. There's a cop played by Tim Robbins who's quite humorous in the film, and like Nashville, if you've seen that before, you get all the little nuances of how all the characters may know each other or how they interact or pass each other by, sort of like 6 degrees of separation sort of thing. And it's just a masterpiece. Absolutely love this film. Paul Thomas Anderson was very influenced by this film when he made Magnolia. So if you've seen Magnolia or you love Paul Thomas Anderson's work, he was very inspired by Shortcuts and Nashville to some degree for his film Magnolia. And Magnolia is possibly my favourite Paul Thomas Anderson film. This is better. It just is, in my opinion. And that's not to knock Magnolia, because it's, again, one of my favourite films from the 90s. But Altman just does it better. And yeah, love this. Criterion disc is stacked with great stuff on here as well. This is from a 4K digital transfer, so maybe this will get a 4K disc one day from some company, maybe Criterion, I'm not sure. But yeah, love this. Now we're getting to my two favourite films that I've seen this year so far, and they're actually films that came out last year. Yes, so my two favourite watches from 2023 are films that came out in 2022. They're very hard to decide which one I prefer, but we'll go with this one first. In love with this film so much. Talking about Ennis Men by Mark Jenkins, or Jenkin. I always put the S on the end, but there is no S, it's just Mark Jenkin. BFI release. This is probably my favourite release in terms of the whole package of the year so far. There's the film that's my number one thus far of the year, is my favourite film, but not my favourite like disc and extras package for the year so far. But yeah, this BFI is one of the best things they've put out in years. The film is a sort of folk horror-esque tale, filmed on 16mm, gorgeous 16mm in the south of England, in Devon, or Cornwall I should say. I don't know why I said Devon, but Cornwall. And it has a lot of references to Cornish culture, and this is just difficult to pin down exactly what this is. It is folk, it is got horror elements, but it also has sort of, I don't know if anyone out there who's going to watch this video would agree with me, but I found a lot of sort of connectivity to Tarkovsky in here, particularly his film Mirror, which, if you know me, that's like very nearly my favorite film of all time, because of how it plays with time and roles. Won't say any more than that, more than like actors playing roles in the film. Very unsettling. The music, which was also sort of written by Mark Jenkin, is very eerie, and I don't know exactly what this film is about, but I know that the mood and the atmosphere is pretty much perfect for me. I adore it. I loved it so much that I managed to track down an original UK theatre quad of this film, which I'm sure would be very hard to come by in the future when this becomes a cult classic, because it will, because I think it will. And there's an interview with Mark Jenkin and his contemporary Peter Strickland, who use music to great effect in their films, and that was sort of like recorded at the BFI or some other event. And yeah, it's just filled with great stuff. The booklet in here is amazing. The film is one of a kind. If you've seen Bait, you sort of know what to expect aesthetically to a certain degree, but the film is very different in tone and chilled me to the bone in places. Like, it made my eyes water, not because I was like upset, but because of how chilling some of the imagery was and the sound effects. It just got under my skin in the best possible way, and just, yeah, chilled me and just made the hair stand up on end on the back of my neck. And it's not very often that a film can do that to me, particularly within the realm of, horror or like horror adjacent. This isn't a particularly scary film. It's more of like a hauntingly chilling film with folk horror elements into it, but so good. Recommendation of the year probably, because I think this film that I'm going to talk about next has probably been seen by a lot more people. I should also mention Ennis Men means Stone Island in Cornish, if you didn't realise that. So what is my favourite watch of the year so far? It's just has to be this, because of how it affected me and how it's still affecting me today. I think I watched this 2 or 3 months ago, and I pretty much thought about it every day since. And I'm talking about Charlotte Wells's debut feature. What a strong debut this is. After Sun, starring Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio, both incredible in this film. So this details the sort of holiday, it's set in the 90s, a holiday of a father and daughter in Turkey, and just what they go up to on the holiday. And it's interspersed with sort of like family, like home video footage, like a camcorder, old style sort of VHS type recordings of them just mucking about and just doing things on their holiday and interviewing each other. And this is interspersed with sort of the daughter as she's a grown woman, reflecting on this period in her life and what it's meant to her, and you know how it's affected her now. And it's just it's definitely one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen, heartbreakingly beautiful. And there are not many ending shots to a film like this has. I was just reduced to a snivelling wreck after the final shots of this film closed. And it's very subtle, and that's where the beauty in the imagery is. And you have to really be paying attention to various like slight moments during the film for everything to come full circle, or at least how you may interpret how this comes full circle, possibly. Yeah, there's a commentary with director Charlotte Wells on here, which I've listened to, which is really, really good. And there's a bonus scene that was cut from the film, and some behind the scenes at the BFI Film Festival, and a short film, which I don't think I watched. Yeah, I need to watch that. How silly of me, I haven't watched the short film that's on this disc. But yeah, Mubi, they've been putting out some really good stuff. I've probably got 10 Mubi titles. If you get them early enough, they come with slip covers, which is cool. And some art cards in there. I mean, we all love art cards with our Blu-ray releases, right? Yeah. Favourite watch of the year so far? I'm gonna really struggle, I think. I mean, I want to. I wish that if I get something else that I watched first time this year that beats this, I'm having a great year. Absolutely incredible. Watch it. After Sun, Charlotte Wells, Paul Mescal, Frankie Corio. Wonderful film. So, that was just 8 of my favourite first time watches of the year so far. Let me know in the description. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these films, if you've seen them. Let me know what some of your favourite first time watches of the year so far are. They can be from 2023 as well. And yeah, thanks everyone if you made it this far for watching. Really appreciate it. And until next time, everyone, take care.